Yeah, there were a lot of overlaps. Most notably and most interestingly were the accounts of the silver balls, and I tend to call them silver basketballs, coming in and out of the water. Especially the stories we received from fishermen out at Guadalupe Island who got really close looks at those. They said that at times they would come up out of the water about 50 feet away and immediately seem to translate right next to the fishing boat. And almost, they said it felt like it was regarding them or looking at them and then zip away to parts unknown.
I'm just wondering kind of what the area is, what the scope of this phenomena seems to be.
So where we went was in and around Ensenada proper, the town, and then we met with the president and major members of the fishing cooperative down there that runs all the fishing in the ports. We met with pilots who make that whole major regional area their domain, as well as numerous fishermen from Ensenada and out at Guadalupe Island. So the stories were pretty much the same. As I was saying, it was now there were a lot of different actors. Some of the fishermen were seeing very strange things that almost looked like they described them as dragons underwater underneath their fishing boats. Others were very much would seem at home in a James Cameron film like The Abyss. Lots of multicolored lights under the water. Of course, these could have other prosaic explanations, but where it dipped into aerial phenomena of things exiting the water, those overlapped from saucer, lenticular, tic-tac, and spherical shapes.
Yeah. Well, and so another hotspot is Catalina Island, right?
Mhm.
And I understand that UAPX also recently attempted sensor detection and picked up some anomalies in that area as well. So you had said in the past, the roiling in the water, the elongated shape under the water, the other craft acting as tenders to the larger craft are echoed throughout the ocean-related eyewitness accounts.
But there is something to be noticed there. There do seem to be small tender craft. These do seem to be amphibious, for lack of a better word, or exhibiting the one of the five observables, transmedium travel, and in many cases not disturbing that medium in the process. And I find that most interesting because everything that we operate disturbs the medium, almost rips through it, and that's one of the problems about moving through water and air is that you're essentially ripping through the medium.
The G forces involved, right? So when the Nimitz encounter, they came from, I believe it's believed they originated space. They set off the anti-ballistic missile sensor.
Mm-hmm.
They came down to 80,000 feet, and then they immediately translated down to almost ocean level. The G forces involved would rip apart any kind of airframe. And, even if you had an airframe that could withstand it, that kind of acceleration in the atmosphere, I mean, that would just ablate any kind of,
Mm-hmm.
shielding that you could think up.
Interestingly enough, when we went back to our data around Guadalupe Island and off the coast of Ensenada, the places where there were hot spots were also overlapping into what you could call geomagnetic anomalies on the geomagnetic survey map. So there's a lot of information down there, whether size, shape, um, or overlap of stories that is painting a picture of something that seems to be in the water down there, exiting and entering the water as it needs to.
One of the things that intrigues me is that they're still talking about, quote unquote, foreign powers. I mean, to me, it seems pretty clear that none of our adversaries are even close to this level of technology. I mean, what are your thoughts on I guess the narrative and the approach for study?
I The learning curve for the reality of this phenomenon is not only very steep, it's very slippery. Um, and I think that you see a lot of folks that are at different parts in that journey. What I see right now is I see a lot of people trying to wrap their heads around something that they were told they didn't have to deal with, that it wasn't real, and it wasn't part of their reality. And these people are in a lot of times they're in leadership now. So they're gonna take Occam's razor to this every chance they get. The first thing they have to rule out is prosaic explanations. The second thing they have to do is look at our national defense. And the last thing they're going to get to is extraterrestrial, crypto terrestrials, and time travelers. So and I think at the end of the day, their own personal philosophy and their education also takes a seat there and informs them. So this isn't easy for everybody. Just saying UFOs are real hasn't even happened yet for the average person. That's not something that is a true statement to everybody yet.